Welcome back to another edition of the Web Insurance Countdown to Kickoff. We're at week 6 already. Our broadcast game this week is Shawnee at Bath. Time now for our roundtable segment. Mike Miller and Jason Aldrich join me, and we make picks and talk about the games coming up. A quick review of last week. Yours truly and Jason Aldrich each go 4-1.
Wow.
Miller goes 2-3. So the standings now: Walker 20-5. Aldrich 16-9,
right.
Miller 15-10.
Woo.
So Miller bringing up the rear
Again, oftentimes not taking the obvious pick because I know what it is, just to be mildly contrary.
Your magnanimity continues to
amaze and impress.
Magnanimous and Miller don't go together. At least in my mind. So let's look to this week. Last week, by the way, we had some split votes, and those all went against Miller, as you would imagine. He had Shawnee. They lost to Elida.
Right.
Miller took OG in the Kenton game. Kenton won.
Right, the obvious pick. Kenton figured out, give undefeated OG a shot.
There's no obvious pick. OG had won 3 of the last 4.
And we're undefeated.
That's right. And Miller took Versailles against St. John's. Jays won that one. So those were the differences.
No, that was Versailles and Coldwater.
Or Coldwater, I'm
right.
sorry. Yeah.
Versailles had a lead in the fourth quarter, by the way.
No, they had a lead in the first half, not in the fourth quarter.
Oh, okay.
Good try. So here we go to this week. And let's start with our game, Shawnee at Bath. The Indians reeling after a nice 2-0 start. They lost to Ottawa Glandorf and Kenton, and then last week really got steamrolled by Elida. A bit of a disappointing performance. Can Shawnee get back on track this week against their rivals in the Bath Wildcats?
I don't think so, frankly. The way they got lit up early against Elida, although you, of course, broadcast that game, and I haven't seen Shawnee, so I don't have a great sense of the Indians, but I think Elida really hit with the big play, but they did cross them up with young Mr. Blymeyer is a very capable running back, but Elida with the big play throwing the football. Bath is not going to do it, but I'm not convinced that Shawnee can slow down the Aaron Smith train, so I frankly like Bath in this home game for the Wildcats.
Jason?
This for me truly is a toss game. I got to toss it up on this one here. Bath home team, Shawnee away team. So Bath will get heads here. Here we go. And it is heads, so I'll go with Bath.
All right. I'll go with Bath as well. I think Shawnee offensively has not really progressed since we saw them a few weeks ago. And I think Bath has enough offense with Aaron Smith, and their passing game is coming along now. They're also involving Brad Davis more, running the football from the QB spot. I just think Bath is better, and they should win tonight. The big game of the WBL really arguably could say either one of these, Elida at Kenton or Wapakoneta at Ottawa Glandorf. We'll start with Elida at Kenton. This was a huge showdown last year, and Kenton hung 70 on the Bulldogs last year. I don't see them getting that big a number, but I think Kenton will win this game against Elida. That game will be played at Kraft Stadium. Mike, who you got?
I'm actually going to pick Elida. I think a lot of the Kenton points last year was because the Wildcats were much more potent with their weapons as receivers that they had last year. I'm not maybe as convinced that they are this year, and I'm a big believer in Coach Carpenter coming up with some scheme or some sense to control Kenton quarterback Matty Mock, and I am also convinced that Elida can move the football and put some points on the board. Plus, frankly, the game's at Kraft Stadium. It's a different deal. Kenton home cooking is hard to deny. They're very comfortable at home, and they've been unbeatable there over the years. So in a slight upset, I'm going with the home team. I'm taking the Elida Bulldogs.
I have not picked against Kenton all this year. Not going to do it here as well. OG slowed them, but still didn't stop them last week. I'm going Kenton.
Another thing to remember, guys, people don't give enough credit to Kenton and Elida. They are the top 2 defenses in the Western Buckeye League. So
yeah, don't you kind of think that Jason Carpenter knows what he's facing and will come up with something?
Yeah, well, I'm sure they'll be better than last year, but the fact of the matter is they got hung with 70 last year.
And that was last year, and this is this year, and I know you're going to take Kenton, so go ahead.
I already took Kenton.
Oh, you already took Kenton.
I think Matty Mock is better by far than he was last year. He's really killing people running, and he's nearly as dangerous running as he is throwing. I just don't think that Elida can outscore them. Now, let's go to Wapakoneta OG. I think a great matchup. Two teams that are very similar to each other in their mindset and the way they like to get things done. This is a great battle tonight, and it's at Ottawa Glandorf. Mike, you'll have the call on WZRX 107.5. We'll start with you.
Yeah, tough call, no question about it. They both like to mix it up. I think Wapakoneta may be a slightly better rushing attack. Hard to believe because OG's got the three-headed monster, and they're really good with it. But another thing tonight is going to be how will the weather conditions play out through the evening.
Right.
It's a bit blustery, which could damage third down throwing, and with these intermittent showers that we've seen also, I think that's going to be a factor. How the field will hold up. It's natural grass at Ottawa Glandorf, and they usually do a good job with it, but at this point in the year, fields can start to disintegrate. So I'm going to call it, it's going to be a turnover situation, and Wapakoneta has had some trouble with turnovers on occasion this year. So I'm actually going to go against the Redskins and pick the home team, Ottawa Glandorf, to defeat Wapakoneta.
All these, who you got?
I'm shocked at that pick, quite frankly.
I'm not a homer.
I guess not in this case. I'm really itching to go to the coin here, but something's tugging at me to not pick against Wapak, and I'm gonna go with them on the road to grind this one out tonight.
Yeah, I think two things are leading me to pick Ottawa Glandorf. A, what Mike was talking about. Wapakoneta has had a few games where they've been a little bit sloppy, and B, OG doesn't lose back-to-back very often, and I just think they're going to be ready to go. And I think their offense can be a little more diverse than Kenton or than Wapakoneta, and I think OG is ready to bounce back. They're at home. It should be a dandy. I'll take the Titans.
And Wapakoneta's, their non-conference game was a complete patsy.
Yes.
Bellefontaine is very weak this year.
Right.
And they lost.
So is Fostoria.
I mean, they lost to Indian Lake here.
Right.
So who really has Wapakoneta beaten? They beat Elida, but it was a game where Elida shot themselves in the foot 3 or 4 times in that game.
Yes.
Not discounting the Redskins, but I'm not going to oversell them just yet either.
I'm with you on that. They also needed a missed 2-point conversion to hang on and beat Bath.
Yeah.
And Bath has proven to be vulnerable after that. Pick number 4, we'll go to the Midwest Athletic Conference. Versailles hosting St. John's. The Tigers coming off their first loss of the year last week at Coldwater. Jays just seem to get better every week. This one down at Versailles. I'm going to take the Jays. I think you always win with the Jays. I mean, how often can you be wrong with them? Versailles, the key for them is they got to hold on to a lead if they get it. Last week they led 20-7 over Coldwater, but they didn't score again, and they lost to the Cavaliers. I'm going to take the Jays on the road. I see them getting so much better each week offensively, and we know their defense is top-notch.
I don't have any great insight into this game other than Versailles probably shaking their heads trying to figure out how they blew a lead last week, and you would think they'll shore up their defensive problems. I'm not convinced the blue and gold are that powerful of an offensive team, and Versailles has scored a lot of points this year. Questionable some of the opposition to this point other than Coldwater. I'm going to take Versailles at home.
Yeah, Versailles has given up a lot of points too.
I'm going to go with Delphos St. John's. I agree with you, Todd. I think they get stronger as we get closer and closer to playoff time.
And our final game in the Northwest Conference, and who would have thought this would be important at the beginning of the season? Spencerville at Lima Central Catholic. The Bearcats at 4-1, coming off that huge win over Columbus Grove. T-Birds, like Kenton, rated number 1 in the state in their division and rolling along last week as they pummeled at Delphos Jefferson. A factor to consider, LCC's played the last 2 Saturdays. Now they move back to Friday at Lima Stadium tonight. Mike, any chance for the Bearcats?
There is a chance, actually, for Spencerville. I'm not going to pick the Bearcats, but I'm not going to undersell them like they were undersold against Columbus Grove. They've got a whole different mindset. They've approached football from a physical standpoint. Forget the spread, trying to be cute. Let's do it the right way. And John Zerbe's getting it done the right way. If their wing T can really quicken the pace of this game and make it go a lot faster. But I just think they probably don't have the overall quickness and athleticism of Lima Central Catholic, and the T-Birds love to play at Lima Stadium. You just can't pick against Lima Central Catholic, but I think it'll be closer than people anticipate.
Jason, who you got?
I'm pretty much right on there with you, Mike. I do think this is going to be closer than what a lot of people think, but I am going to go with the number one team in the state and go with LCC at home.
I'll be a bit of a contrarian and lay it out there that this isn't close. I think Spencerville's way too one-dimensional. LCC's defense is way too good. I don't think Spencerville scores more than a couple touchdowns. I think the T-Birds will roll tonight. But the Spencerville story is still a great story, and we salute them. In fact, we'll hear from their coach, John Zerby, along with Jerry Cooper. Also, we'll hear from Coach Mike Mock at Kenton and Jason Carpenter of Elida. In our next segment, the Web Insurance Countdown to Kickoff rolls along toward Shawnee and Bath tonight here on 1150 WIMA.